Alright, Willie. Last but not least, the explanation for this. And it's not that I don't want to share this with you, it's just that it's difficult to explain without having a spectre. And it's also difficult to convey what you can get with it if you follow certain jazzy rules. I mean, it's not the sort of thing that would necessarily. I mean, your invisible palm suits you perfectly, but this one is more for my style, for my being energetic or what have you. Also, there's a lot of interaction and so forth. A few of the technical things is, well, one thing I want to avoid is I want to avoid having to use the deck at any one point in time. So if you're gonna sit and if you're gonna lap anyhow, I just lapped a card and a different card at some point, and that's the one that you want to start with. Which is why in the performance I said this is hard to do if you're not talking and so forth and relaxing and putting your hand in there. But obviously this part is you merely add on the card and you get your extra card. Now as far as these go, I like to do just the original, Jennings original. But another thing that you can do, that I found that you can do, is you sort of do a tomorrow's turnover in reverse, but you're only using the topmost ace. So as you flip them over, you can immediately get rid of the 3 cards. Very clearly 3 cards, and a double stays in your hand. This little thing. This is from, I think from the Buck Club. I'm not sure who that is by, but you just let go of the outermost edge, and you push forward with your thumb, and they won't split. Now the first one, and again, I don't always do this the same thing. I'm going to talk about this also a little bit, but anyhow. So you do this, and if you just show that there's nothing in there, with your thumb, you just hit it with your thumb. You can move to some other part of the table. If you have a close-up pad, you can move above this one and it reappears face up, or whatever you want to do. I mean, really, I just make this up as I see fit. So then you clearly have 2 cards here. You can do whatever you want with those, or this, or what have you. And then I think rather than adding them on there, again, it's really hard to do for a camera, but I think there are better chances for an add-on if you do talk to people, as long as you talk to people. The next one, well, this is when things change a little. The next one is you do that also, and I thought about lapping it immediately, but I thought there's no reason for this. You really just do the classic thing, and then as you push those forward, you at some point you cross over and you lap the card, and of course over here you have 3 aces. Now for magicians, you can do the same, whatever you did before, that proof that it was a single card, but really to a magician proof that it was a double card. You can do that again, only to then show that it's, and usually, I mean, what I did here, I just dropped this card because you can just drop it, you don't no longer need it. But that depends. Anyhow, so you now have a single card, now you have to make the single card vanish, and that's obviously not that easy. So I did this once with a feint, and the nice thing about the feint is you pretend to take it here, they see it in your hand, they see your hand from the back, and then you don't really try to fool them, but you do look at this hand, and they might miss the first beat that that the card is still there. And, I can't do that. I say, okay, I don't know what they think, but it's really just a feint. And as you go over, you obviously you lap that card. So you just you're already in perfect position. You just shoot it in your lap, and you do that again, and so on and so forth. And then look at both hands. You remove your hand from the edge of the table, and it's vanished. It's gone. And you drop the other hand in your pocket, and you clip it like so, because the last one, and this is the one that you can't see, the last one I do on the spectator's palm. So I tell her to balance a pen here, pencil, pen, even a lighter, but ideally something that rolls. And then I go to a dry run where she just does that. She with her hand actually just rolls off the pen. And when you do that in the end, she has it balanced, you went through that, and you also show that you hold the pen on both sides. That makes sense. And she rolled it forward, because you're going to do the in her hand pen appearance, if you will. I mean, because it's still the exact same, more roughly the same thing. The modus operandi is the same as with your pen thing. You just go there, you drop it, and then you move the pen forward. But in this case, she moves the pen forward. That's why you have to go through a dry run a couple of times. She moves the pen forward, and it appears, and she can feel it appear under her hand. So in order to get this, and also every gesture that you use, you want to do a I suppose what cheaters call what we call a splash move. So you go over, you talk to her about, you know, sensation and whatever haptic sensory input or whatever you want to talk about, but you go over her fingertips. You make her go over her fingertips and so forth. So the whole thing, you don't just start doing this to prove your hand empty. But anyhow, so you get that back, but you just clip it. And if you just clip it, if you go with your other hand, you can immediately just brush the hand, but you have a tenkai palm. And so that she already has that on her hand, and you just go forward. So in other words, her hand is here, you go forward in a gesture that you've done before, and you just go to both sides, and you roll it forward like this. So by the time she rolled the pen forward, your hands are like that. There's no way that you could have added anything there. Plus, her own hand is under her own control and so forth. But once you deposit the card, I mean, it's the same as this. You can shoot this back as fast as you want. It only takes a split second to deposit the card. Now, this looks fantastic on the table, but it looks just as fantastic coming from the side in, because you just have to drop it for 1 second. I mean, this is, and you can do this on someone's hand. You just drop it, and it's at an angle. I mean, this is not that it matters. I mean, it looks great where it's just parallel, but in this case, really, there's two hands, but they come in at an angle, and it don't appear. Well, not that in the original it doesn't do it anyhow, but on top you have all this appear on the spectator's hand, which makes it a very strong effect. Now, if you just look at the effect from a technical point of view, you might say, okay, good things, bad things, whatever. And that's not why I'm so proud of this trick. This is Larry Jennings' Invisible Palm. Lots of people, Babel and Michael Benson and you yourself, you have versions of this, and I think any version is better than the one by Larry Jennings, because in Larry Jennings' case, the last one, you know, a face down card on a face down deck is not that impressive. So yours, in your case, it's face down on a face up deck, and I played around with having the last ace disappear face up on a face down deck with a pass or whatever. But then it occurred to me the best thing, if you could really do magic, you wouldn't need the deck. There isn't any need for the rest of the deck. Not at first when you're picking up the extra card. Not to make the last card vanish. If this is about an invisible palm, there should be the 4 aces in evidence and nothing but the 4 aces. Obviously, from a technical point of view, you do need the extra card. So Ortiz always talks about starting clean and ending clean. You start clean. You add on the card later. You get rid of it at some point during the routine, and you end clean. I mean, there's nothing to see here. That those are just the 4 aces. The last thing I do want to mention is, if you forget about all the technique, in playing this or in jazzing it or in doing magic, doing this for actual people, the only thing you need to keep in mind is what happens to the last ace. The last ace should appear on the spectator's hand, face up. She can feel it appear, she can see it appear, she can smell it, she can hear it, the whole 9 yards. I mean, every sensory input that she has tells her there is no card first, then there's a card. Could the pen have done it? Well, it's her pen, or what have you. The reason why I do anything before is just to elevate that last climax. That's the same thing in the card in the beer bottle. Everything that comes before the triumph, and then the whole little everywhere and nowhere bit, and the pass, and the top card cover pass, and all of this stuff. It only goes to elevate the last big climax. I mean, there's in Paul Ryan or someone said magic is like sex. It goes towards the last. I mean, that's the climax, the one, if you will, the orgasm, the fantastic. Well, when it comes to fruition, if you will, and magic is like that too, I think. I mean, everything, if it wasn't like that, you wouldn't need to do anything other than that last climax, that last effect. But everything that comes before there in a good routine should add to that last effect. And I think in this case, you can absolutely sell that last one for all it's worth. You're doing every ace that disappears before, you can sell as it being ever increasingly difficult, ever increasingly being impossible, until there is nothing left. I got this from Armando Lucero. He talks about closing doors. I mean, that's the idea. Every possible methodological idea that you as a spectator might have, particularly as a layperson spectator, of course, you're closing that door. So in the end, it should look like a miracle, and it should feel like a miracle. So I do think it's a very, very strong effect for lay people, and it's probably good for magicians, but that's not its worth. It's good for lay people, and it's very strong. I hope you like it. Thank you.